Yeah. No, and Mom and Dad wanted something better for us. And there was a choice. Argentina wanted immigrants and Canada. And we always said we're so glad they chose Canada.
We are.
Yes.
Never heard that before.
Yes.
Any other questions you want to raise at the time? Or does anybody else want to add anything to that?
Seeing they were talking about Canada being so bad, we were in Florida in the wintertime, and there was 2 Canadians come down, and they were saying how lucky the Americans were. They had Bob Hope to tell them funny stories. They had Johnny Cash to sing them nice songs. He says, back in Canada, he says, you got Mulrooney. He says, no cash, no hope. But that isn't what I was going to say. I just thought I'd put that in.
Why did you say it?
But I remember 2 airmen came to Hamilton, and we met a couple of girls in the market. And we talked them into taking them home because they had a farm. And Mom and Dad were there, and of course, the first thing your mother asked, did we know the Lord? And we said no. And she said, well, you got to know the Lord because you might go over the seas and you might get killed, and I wouldn't want you to go to hell and be on my conscience. And she was always telling people, I guess no matter who was there, that they should know the Lord. But it was Paca, when he prayed at night, or whenever we were there, he used to pray in Dutch. Not very often in English, but once in a while he would. And he talked to the Lord just as if he was his friend. And I think that is what impressed me when I started reading the scriptures that talked about Abraham and about how Abraham talked to God as his friend. And that's the reason I became a Christian, because I wanted to have that kind of relationship with the Lord.
Okay, we'll ask Dad for the last comment here. I think we Annie Mark. Yeah, go ahead, Annie Mark.
I would like to say I want to thank the Lord for His faithfulness and how true it is. Like Mom and Dad brought us up in the way of the Lord, and they prayed for us and then for our children, and our children turned their lives over to Christ, and now we're praying for our grandchildren, and we want to be faithful to them too, that we might live lives that are pleasing to the Lord. And it is so important to start off with your children, and then it carries on, and God has promised to bless that.
That's right. That's right.
Question, Rose. I see the hand.
I have 2 questions. I wanted to know how Paca and Beppa came to know the Lord. Like, were their parents Christians? And I also want to know what you have as a piece of advice for child raising.
Whoa. Oh, okay, we only got so much time.
Well, like just one important thing. Or
Be consistent.
yeah, be consistent.
Dad, do you want to field the question there about how your parents came to know the Lord? Okay, that's fair, Dad.
Drives a mean bargain.
You know, as you grow older, you look back in your life and you think of people that were great people in your life. You didn't realize it at the time as much as you do now. And I have 4 sisters who are great people in my life, always have been. And I realize it more than I ever have before, especially since my mother passed on, our mother passed on. When I was 8 or 9 or 10 in that area somehow, my mother needed a hysterectomy, and she was very afraid of this operation, and we also couldn't pay it. We were immigrants, the depression was on, but nevertheless the doctor said you have to go this route, and she did. And I remember I visited my mother with a couple of my sisters, I think we went down to the General Hospital, remember? First time in my life I ever saw this notice about radium on her bed. Like this had just been discovered by Madame Curie. You historians, I guess, will remember all these facts better than I would. And she got through this operation, and then instead of recovering well from it, she got into a nervous condition, and which affected her mentally. And and our mother was in the Ontario hospital for quite a while. We had doctor's bills to pay. We had hospital bills to pay. And so my two oldest sisters, they were just in their mid-teens. They went and got jobs in town. Charlotte stayed home, so I think she was around 13, and run the family. And we got the doctor's bills paid. We got the hospital bills paid. There was no OHIP. We were in depression. My father was making $35 a month, and we hung together as a family. And I've heard some people say that our times today are far more difficult than the Depression. Those people don't know what they're talking about. In fact, if you notice them in the news, you'll find that these people weren't even alive during the Depression. There's something like these people in Russia I saw the other day. They said, we need a guy like Stalin back, somebody that can lead us. Can you imagine? And if you look at these people, you'll find that they're so young, they don't know anything about Stalin. They don't remember that he slaughtered 20 million of his own countrymen. But anyway, time went on, and we worked off these debts and problems. The two girls worked in the city. I know them so well. Willie worked for Brocklesby Davison. Margaret worked for Malcolm's, and Charlotte and Willie for a while. They worked for Miss Young and for Bob Young, quarter a day or whatever it was. But we worked our way through. I always remember too that this was just by the way. Willie, besides helping out at home, she saved a little extra money. I think it was $22, and she bought my father a brand new blue suit. And it's the only new suit he had ever had. How much?